the advice that you would give to your younger self?
Advice, stay consistent. Like, the only way to make real money is to do the things that other people aren't willing to do and to see the things that people are not capable of seeing. The best things that ever happened to me was I was arrested. The things that you might think about risking your freedom or your life for is really not worth it, because there are other avenues where you could make real money. But you wake up one day and you're just like, yeah, but this doesn't satisfy my soul.
This is the Better Life Podcast with Brandon Turner.
And Cameron Cathcart.
Cameron Cathcart, I have a serious question for you.
Yes, sir.
Are those hipster glasses real or are they
real.
fake?
They are real. 100%.
Can I try them on?
I can
to prove
show
this?
my prescription. If you lie to the camera right now,
They're completely fake.
it's not true.
Okay,
They are real.
Yeah, no, I can't see
do you
as
see
good
better?
with these. No, I see worse with the.
You see worse? So
Yeah.
that means
How do I look? How do I look with glasses?
Look at. Oh my goodness.
I used to wear glasses, but I never wore hipster glasses. I did wear hipster glasses, but not.
You
this
would break
big.
the internet
I would break the internet.
if you started coming out with glasses. You actually look great.
Do I?
Yeah, you legitimately do.
Whenever I look, I can't look at the screen. Well, okay, there. No, I do not look great. No, I
That's
look
not
absolutely
true.
terrible.
You do. You
No,
really
I
do.
look terrible. Put them back on. You look great. All right, everybody. Today's show, I'm excited to bring you one of my favorite people just in general. Several years ago, he was on Bigger Pockets, and I got to know him that way. We've hung out a few times in Hawaii. Jude Bernard. Just a legit pillar in his community out there in the Brooklyn area. Runs an organization called the Brooklyn Bank, which I'm a huge supporter of, raised a lot of money for them, given a lot of money to them. Huge fan of what he's doing there, empowering like inner city youth with financial independence and financial literacy. Love it. Plus, he's just a legit real estate investor.
He made a comment that he won't do a deal if he can't make $1 million on it.
I know, isn't that wild?
Which makes my $30,000 deals look pretty.
Yeah,
pretty
I mean,
rough.
there are people who do 100 plus deals a year
Yeah.
that are smaller, and there's people that do a few deals a year that are much bigger. And he's like fewer deals, way bigger deals. And you're going to learn about that. That's actually a good title for this episode. Maybe we'll play with that. It's like fewer deals, but $1 million plus.
$1 million. He said some years he'll buy one, some years he'll buy two, some he'll buy three, and some years he won't buy any.
Yeah.
But he has to make $1 million.
Yeah, and he'll explain how to do that in this episode. So without further ado, let's bring in my buddy, Jude Bernard.
This episode of the Better Life Podcast is brought to you by our friends at TurboTenant and Ballpoint Marketing. You hear about them later. So I look at my phone and I see this text. You need to call me. Your house is on fire. I sat there and I stared at it for a minute, just looking at the screen going like, is that a joke? I mean, the guy who sent it to me, well, he was a tenant that I was trying to evict for months. He hadn't paid rent in forever, trashed the house, and was like just pretty darn unstable. Now, of course, I call him and it goes to voicemail. Great. A few minutes later, I get a call from unknown number. It's the fire department. Yep, my first ever rental property was burning down. So how did I get myself into this situation? Well, I didn't screen the tenant. I put in somebody who I thought would be good, and he was good until he wasn't. And now, this was over a decade ago, right? And since then, I have learned a thing or two about how to properly vet a tenant. And that is through TurboTenant, which makes screening for both like background and credit history really easy. But it gets even better. So TurboTenant also helps you market your rental properties to dozens of the largest sites out there, including like apartments.com and Redfin. So you can create a custom lease as well that covers all your rental laws. I mean, you can even use TurboTenant for like your automatic rent payments. And all of that for less than the cost of your Netflix subscription. Yeah, I know, crazy. So save time, save money, and save your sanity by using TurboTenant. And because you're just so darn cute, you can use the code Brandon10 to get 10% off. So check it out, turbotenant.com.
Jude Bernard. Man.
What's up? I'm back in the house.
You're back here. I'm so excited to have you on the show, man. Back when you were on BP back in the day, I absolutely cherished that episode. It was one of my favorites. I'm excited to dig into it again. I know a lot of people haven't heard it, so we're going to rehash some stuff. We're going to talk about some new stuff, and I'm excited to have you here in Hawaii, too.
Thank you for having me, and pleasure to meet you.
So good meeting you.
All right, man. So I know you as a number of things. I know you're a real estate investor. I know you have a construction company. I know you do flips. I know you do buy and hold. I know you do event space. I know you run this thing called the Brooklyn Bank, which is super cool. And I definitely want to dig into that today. But take us back before all of that.
One more thing.
What else do you do?
Short-term rentals.
Short-term rentals, man.
I'm like the only person doing short-term rentals now in New York City. Because I don't know if you heard about the ban.
I heard they banned it. I want to know, legally or illegally?
Legally.
Okay.
How are you doing illegal? Oh, we can talk about that
Let's
later.
talk about that. I'm going to write that down
You
so we don't forget.
Yes.
I want to talk about it. But take us back before all of that. Before the man, the myth, the legend, Jude
Okay,
Bernard. Who was Jude Bernard?
Jude Bernard was a nerdy kid in high school with Haitian parents, super strict, wearing Wildcats. I don't know if you ever heard about the Wildcats.
No.
Those were like reject sneakers from Buster Brown. Have you ever heard of Buster Brown? Exactly. So they're not Nikes, they're not Adidas, they're just crazy sneakers.
Are they like the Shaq school shoes?
No.
Shaq had his shoes.
No,
that were at Walmart.
but you heard of Shaq.
Uh-huh. Oh yeah, that's true. That's a great point.
Exactly. So I remember this kid made a song about I had the Adidas with the extra lines, with the 4 stripes. But so not. We were lower middle class, we weren't eating dirt pies or anything like that, but we just didn't have it. So I grew up in a very strict Haitian household that like really pushed education and honesty and hard work and all that other stuff. And that's how it started, nerdy in school. Never one of the cool kids because you can't be a cool kid wearing Wildcats.
This is true. This is true.
Right?
That's what they say.
Exactly. So, so that's how it started.
Okay. Did you have any inklings from a young age that you were going to be an entrepreneur?
In I never saw it coming, but in hindsight, I always when I look back at it, I've always been into saving. I've always been into like making extra money. I've always been into like trying to get the things that I wanted at any cost, even if it wasn't always honest.
What do you mean by that?
Like,
I'm thinking of that.
No, I was, like if you, just like anybody else, you put people in a situation where they don't have the things that, they think that they need in life, they're going to do whatever it takes to get it. I remember, one of the best things that ever happened to me was I was arrested. I was arrested on the Friday before President's Day weekend.
Really?
Yes, I was arrested Friday before the President's Day weekend up in Albany for, doing something stupid like some credit cards nonsense. And
like ripping, like trying to charge. Like, what does that mean? Like
buying credit cards from someone and just stupid, just stupid.
How old were you then?
I think I might have been like 19 or 20.
Yeah.
But it's like the best thing that ever happened to me because although it was just something stupid, I went in on Friday. So you know what that means. You're there Saturday, Sunday. Monday was a holiday.
Yeah.
Oh. Monday was a holiday. And this is in Albany, New York. Tuesday was a snowstorm. So I ended up being in there for like 7 days straight. And I was just like, wow. There are some criminals in here. This is not me. This is not me. And luckily for me, I had that encounter, and it kind of taught me. It kind of taught me that this is not the life that I wanted to lead. This doesn't work. And later on, even when I teach people these days, I'm just like, like the things that you might think about risking your freedom or your life for is really not worth it because there are other avenues where you could make real money. Yeah. It's kind of funny, watching people or watching things that I've done in the past for, what really equate to dimes and nickels.
Yeah.
And it's just like, cause I just didn't know any better. I didn't know what was available. So.
Do you know the average bank robbery? I once heard this when I worked at a bank. The average bank robbery is less than $1,000. Like they get and it's like a 20-year prison sentence and a felony. Really? Yeah, if you rob a bank, it's like, but on average they get less than $1,000. You are better off and give some terrible advice for life. But if you're going to rob something, you get more money from 7-Elevens than you do from banks. So just putting that out there.
It's probably easier to rob a 7-Eleven.
Yeah, it probably is, and it's not the same level felony as a bank because a bank's like a federal thing. So. I say that because I think it's funny that there are a ton of people that will go to great lengths to save $1,000 or make $1,000, whether it's legal or illegal. Like you were saying, like people just do stupid stuff, and then we have options like real estate or entrepreneurship where you can actually do it probably easier or at least a lot less consequential, maybe.
Oh yeah. Have you ever had the copper cut out of your house? Like,
oh yeah.
I'm like, how much money do they make off of that?
Yeah, I know.
Can't be much.
But and And the thing about it is how much damage do they cause doing that? That's a big thing in New York where they break into these buildings that are being renovated and cut the copper. And I kind of feel like, hey, how about if I just leave you $100?
Exactly. That's
and you not to
How much you think you're gonna get from this copper? Here, let me just write you a check.
Exactly. There was a point where I just used to leave my door unlocked, and I was just like, the door's unlocked. Please don't break the window.
Yeah. That's actually advice I've heard out here in Maui many times, or living in Hawaii, is they will say, like the tour guide and tour books will say, don't lock your doors, like on your car door when you're at the beach, just leave it unlocked because they're going to break it anyway. So you might as well give them an easy access to open the door instead, because if they can't open the door, they'll break the window. Now you got a problem. But you just don't keep it in your car and just keep it unlocked, and then nobody's going to break in. Like it's a weird suggestion, but it actually kind of makes sense.
Yeah.
All right, man. So what came next? You got out of prison. What changed in your life? Not prison. Wrong word. You got out of crazy jail for a 7-day terrible stupid mistake.
So it was real funny after that, right? And this is all this happened on campus. I was in Albany State University, and what I ended up doing is because now it's, you get arrested on campus. Now you have to go in front of the board, advisory board, and stuff like that. So what I did was I just dropped out right then and there because I was just like, yo, you know what? You're not gonna expel me. You're not gonna expel me. This is not gonna go on my public on my records and stuff like that. So I just left that school and I went and I transferred back to St. John's University. Like nothing happened, missed a semester, and kept it going. But now it's just like I still can't rap, I still can't play basketball, and now I know that I can't do anything illegal. So what do? Am I just gonna be this average Joe? So I was in school. I graduated from school, started working at the phone company, started grad school, and I was still trying to figure it out, And what I ended up doing is I ended up taking some student loans out. I took some student loans out and I purchased my first property.
Oh, no way.
Yeah. So it's just like, I think I took like $12,000 loan out.
Yeah.
And put 3% down, and boom, I was in the real estate game. And that was how it all started.
Where'd that idea even come from? Like, do you remember the inspiration for, I'm going to go buy real estate at a young age?
I had a real estate agent in one of my classes who asked me what my credit was. I was like, "What's credit?" And he kind of pushed me. He kind of pushed me towards it. He kind of pushed me towards like the whole, getting my paperwork together, because he just wanted to make a sale.
Yeah.
So he kind of pushed me along. And when I got into that first property, the goal was to make $500 a month. That was the goal. With $500 a month, I could hang out, go to the club, hang out, have a good time. I had a very pretty girlfriend at the time. And I don't know if you guys know it or not, but pretty girlfriends are not cheap, especially when you're in your early 20s.
There's a direct correlation between the prettiness of your girlfriend and the expense of them. It's like, you can graph that.
Exactly. So
I feel like that should be a t-shirt.
Yeah, no. So the goal was to make $500 a month. And I had that property, and next thing you know, I got my income tax check the next year from that, which I've never had gotten one before. And I'm just like, oh, wow. So I bought the building next door, and then started buying, flipping, and all that. Next thing you know, I went into the game trying to make $500 a month. Next thing you know, I did over $100 billion in transactions.
Oh my goodness!
Like over a period of time, and I'm just like, wow, this is kind of cool.
When you say 100 million in transactions, is that like you're not as an agent, all right? You're saying you bought and sold.
Bought and sold.
Dude, that's incredible.
Yeah. Oh yeah, I'm a real estate broker too. We forgot to add that.
Oh yeah, okay. And you're a broker. Okay. Do you have any like superhero like alter egos? Are you like Iron Man or something?
I'm Superman.
Okay, I was gonna say you hide a lot in there.
But you know what? I'm Superman for like a different reason that you might think of Superman. I'm not Superman because I'm the strongest or the bravest, but Superman is just like everybody thinks Superman's okay, right? And what people don't know is that Superman has this super hearing, and he just hears all the screams and cries and all that other stuff that he has to deal with, right? Like, could you just imagine how heavy that is, And the craziest thing about Superman is, right? Like, you have Batman, who's really Bruce Wayne.
Bruce Wayne.
Iron Man is really
Robert Downey Jr.
right.
Tony Stark. There we go.
Spider-Man is really Peter Parker, but Superman is really Superman pretending to be Clark Kent.
Oh, yeah, you're right, yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So it's just like his alter ego is really his alter ego.
Yeah.
Right? So that's kind of how I feel like with some of the things that I have to do, to contend with, you know, like especially with the Brooklyn Bank.
Yeah.
And it's just like I see people not being able to feed themselves. I see people losing their houses. I see people not knowing. And that's kind of what brought me to this point where I was just like, yo, you know what? I need a community. I need to be someone in the community who's not just taking, you know, hey, I love making good money in real estate. It's cool, but it's not satisfying your soul, you know, especially like growing up where I grew up, like the hood, Flatbush, Brooklyn, you're taught that, you know, you need to make as much money as you can, get as many girls as you can, have as many nice things, more cars, this, that, the other. But you wake up one day and you're just like, yeah, but this doesn't satisfy my soul. You know, all these things that they told you that is important, that you should value, what happens when it doesn't jive anymore. So that's kind of, that's the long version about what hero do I.
Dude, that's a great answer. I never thought about that with Superman, though. Yeah, you when you witness the atrocities in the world and you see what's horribleness is out there, whether it's in people's personal lives, whatever, like you have kind of a choice. You can do something about it, or you can just put on blinders and say, I'm not going to deal with it. And I know you started the Brooklyn Bank because you saw the pain.
Yeah.
What is the Brooklyn Bank?
The Brooklyn Bank is a nonprofit organization that I started focused on financial literacy, economic empowerment, and pretty much that's the right word. That's the right way of saying it. Brooklyn Bank is basically a nonprofit I have just for teaching people in the hood how to make money.
I love that.
How to
So
make
you're
money.
not getting loans. You're not a bank.
No, I'm not a bank, but you know, the deposit and the withdrawal that we do is information.
Yeah.
You know, like Brandon's going to come out there sooner or later.
I'll get there.
and teach people about real estate, just like we teach about real estate, stocks, insurance, all the things, credit, all the things that nobody ever taught me that I had to learn the hard way. That that by the time I was 30, I was by the time I was 30 years old, I was already a real estate millionaire. And then by the time the market crashed in 2008, I was bankrupt and had all my properties in foreclosure.
Wow.
You know, so I had to grind and build that back up again. But had I known about not to be over leveraged, had I known about like putting some money on the side, had I known about all these things that nobody taught me, you know, like when the money's coming, when you think, you know, when it's a good market, everybody thinks that they're a genius.
Yeah.
No, you're not a genius. You're just riding the tide.
Yeah.
So
you went bankrupt during the 2008 crash?
I did not actually go bankrupt.
Okay.
But I did everything that I had, you know, I worked like 30-hour days, 8 days a week to make sure that I stayed afloat. And I was actually the only one of my friends to not lose any property during back in 2008. But I was doing everything. You know, I was throwing parties. I was running an event space. I was selling hair. I went to India and became and started selling.
Did you have hair then?
Yeah. No, I was selling hair weaves.
Okay.
You know, I was selling hair weaves. You know, like at one point I was like the number 3 supplier of hair weaves in New York City.
Wow.
Really?
Yeah. So, but I did. You know, I was running a poker room. You know, so I was doing everything that I could to keep feeding the real estate until it came back. So,
what were the lessons learned in the crash, in the last crash, that maybe could help people today? Like, what did you learn?
You know, one of the things that I learned about is what I really learned is about the relationships. You know, I learned a lot about the relationships, about the ego. First of all, you know, the people that matter don't care and the people that care don't matter. So spending your money and time trying to impress people and buying things, there's no need for it. It's funny. It's funny. Like as I was packing my bag, and somebody told me, "Oh, you should wear this watch if you're going to be." I was like, "No, I don't want to wear that watch, because I got to keep. Like I don't need to impress anybody, That's one thing that I learned, to stop trying to impress people. Second thing that I learned about is that you have to value things that are scarce, right? There's a limited amount of time, but there's an unlimited amount of money. So you have to protect the time. So because there's a limited amount of it, but the money, if you know how to finagle it, if you know how to work it, if you know what to look for, how to make it, it's infinite.
Yeah.
So like you can't spend your time chasing the money, chase the processes where it frees up your time and the money will come. That's one of the things that I learned.
Yeah. Very cool, man. So talk us through, like, how did you get to how do you do $100 million of real estate? I mean, like
Brooklyn.
Yeah. Yeah, it's 4 properties actually.
Yeah. Like everybody thinks, sometimes I talk to people and they're like, "Oh my God, you're so smart. How did you know to invest in Brooklyn?" I was just like, I was born there.
Yeah, sure.
I was born there. A lot of the properties that I was purchasing in the early 2000s that I paid, $300,000 for or $400,000 for, are now worth, 4 million, 5 million, and so forth, like things like that, like crazy.
Yeah.
So like buying and selling, like in hindsight, I look at some of the properties that I flipped that I thought I was so smart that I purchased for $400,000 and I sold for $2 million. And now it was a few years later, I was like, damn, that's worth $5 million now.
Yeah.
So it's just like, you do enough of those and next thing you know, you're in the 9-figure club.
Yeah. Wild, man. All right. So let's go back to your story. I want to kind of build into how you kind of got through this. You bought the first house.
Yes.
You basically house hacked it, lived in one, was it a house or is it multifamily?
The very first house, those 2 houses that I first acquired were just rentals, straight rentals, and I was like the worst landlord in the world. It's just like I just didn't know. I was young, and I was just under the impression that, all right, I bought this house, and now the people are just going to pay me.
They're just going to pay you, yeah.
Yeah. They're,
why is that not the case for those who are like, wait, that should be the case?
No, it's not the case because you have a responsibility to the tenants to make sure that the property is working properly. That they have a clean environment, a safe environment, everything works. And that's just one thing. And then you have to make sure that you have the right tenants in there that are actually going to pay you after you do those things. And I did not, so like those properties went to heck real quick. But they appreciated it enough that during that learning curve, I was able to make money.
Yeah.
My second, I took the money from that, and then I purchased a property where a 3-family house where I lived in one unit, and I had 2 of my frat brothers who lived there with me in that one unit. So, and then we rented I rented the other 2 units. And that building ended up making me a couple $1,000s a month, which was a lot, especially since I was working at Verizon at the time, making good money there. So I was able to stack, and the more I stacked, the more properties I bought and stuff like that. So and this was in 2000, before they even invented house hacking.
I was about to say, you were house hacking before it was cool.
Before I even knew what it was.
Yeah.
It was just like, my friends were just helping me with the mortgage.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's awesome, man. From Verizon, I remember last time we talked, there was some story about was it fired or quit? And
I got fired.
Yeah. Why'd you get fired?
I got fired. The specific reason why I got fired is because I was mouthing off to my boss. That's a specific reason. Specific reason that I got fired is because I was mouthing off to my boss. But the real reason is because I was making so much money in real estate that I just wasn't taking my job seriously. But he actually did me a favor because I probably never would have quit. You know, it was taking up too much time. Like I was there, but I was not there. You know, but I was under the impression that, oh no, you have to stay for health benefits and your 401k. But I didn't realize that if I was making enough money, I could just buy healthcare.
Yeah.
If I was making enough money, I could invest in my own, IRA or SEP or all the other instruments that I thought I needed. So I was there for 10 years, and then I got let go. And the same month that I got fired, I ended up doing a transaction that was more than my whole annual salary. So it just went to show that, hey, if you have a little faith and you're doing the right thing, it'll work itself out.
Yeah. Yeah.
And if you're doing the work.
Yeah.
And same goes for graduate school, because I was working on my MBA, and I was coming in late because I was working on the real estate, and I remember the teacher, one of the professors mouthed off to me because I came in late and said, "Mr. Bernard, is there someplace that you'd rather be?" And then I thought about it, and you know how they give the break in the middle of the class?
Yeah.
I ended up walking out. I left my books, my book bag, all that stuff, and I just never came back. So I dropped out of the MBA program right then and there. And then I decided, from there, I decided that I'm going all in on real estate. Decided to bet on myself.
Yeah. Love it. All right, man. What advice do you have for people that are in a similar spot? They're at a job, they're comfortable there, they make good income, they're dabbling in real estate, they're making money there, but maybe it's not quite enough to, completely replace their job. What advice do you have for those people?
Keep working the other 16 hours of the day. You're there 8 hours a day. So if you're working 16 hours or whatever, another 8 hours on that, and keep putting that aside and keep investing your profits back into the business. And one day you're going to wake up and your side money is going to 2x, 3x, 4x your salary. Yeah. And at that point, if that doesn't give you the confidence to walk away, then you're not meant to walk away.
Yeah. Yeah, I see. It's an interesting point you make. Not everyone's meant to be an entrepreneur and to, leave the W-2. I think some people just need that security.
Yeah. It's scary. It's scary, at the end of the day, because the bills are due every month, whether the money comes in this month or not. So you have to be okay with that. Unfortunately, I come from a that used to be my thing, that I struggled with, gambling. I was a degenerate gambler for a lot. As a matter of fact, I have this tattoo that says "Never Again," 12/13/04.
Oh wow! Was that the last time you?
That's the last time I gambled.
Wow.
I walked into a casino. And I sat there for 30 hours straight, and I came out $140,000 lighter.
Really?
Yeah,
dude. Wow.
And I was supposed to start a job as an air traffic controller like the following week, but now I had no savings, no nothing, and I was supposed to be moving to San Francisco to go to air traffic control school, but now this happened, and I was just like, yo, I can't leave. So like a week before I was supposed to go to air traffic control school, I reached out to the school and said, hey, I'm not coming. Which turned out to be the best thing that ever happened to me, because it gave me the flexibility. It gave me the, working at Verizon gave me the flexibility that I needed to build my business.
Yeah. What did you learn about addiction in that? Gambling addiction is something it's a very real thing, but we don't hear a lot about it. I mean, everyone talks about alcohol addiction and, drug addiction, but gambling addiction, it's real, but it's just not talked about. So what did you learn about addiction in that and overcoming it?
I don't think I've overcome it.
Okay.
I think I'm still a gambler. And what I realized is I'm addicted to winning. I've been in a closing where I'm going to walk away with maybe $500,000 to $750,000 in the closing, and I'm looking at my phone and I'm looking at this option trade that I did that I might be up $600 on, and I'm more focused on this because this feels good. Yeah. This I beat, I hit on this one, so it's still that thing that makes you it's a sickness, but if you learn how to control it And if you learn how to leverage it, for the right for the right things and kind of shift it, it works out. It works out to your effect. To your benefit. But it's tough. It is very tough. Nobody talks about it. It's very lonely, and nobody thinks about the people that you hurt, like gambling. I remember, going to Las Vegas to see a concert with a girl, and she spent good money on the tickets, but I went down to the casino and I missed the concert.
Oh man.
I remember being away, with someone, and they came to me while I was down, and I screamed on them, because I was just in that bad mindset, so it's ugly, and prior to me getting this tattoo, I remember going to Gamblers Anonymous, which didn't work for me. And I remember judging these people, judging people, saying, "Oh wow, like, oh, I heard this person, I lost this money." And I was just like, "Yeah, you guys are losers. That's not me." Because the mirror, when you're looking at people, you don't really see see that you're the same person.
Yeah.
Right. So the best thing that ever happened to me was this tattoo, because it's like, you could lie to anybody in the world, but you can't lie to yourself. And it's hard to say. It's hard to gamble. It's hard to roll dice with a tattoo that says never again.
Yeah.
It's hard to drive a car to a casino with a tattoo that says never again without admitting, I'm weak.
Yeah.
I'm folding. So whatever it is whatever trick that you can use to manipulate your mind to do the right thing, I suggest that you do it, because people are strong enough. They just need the right catalyst to kind of push them through.
So you went to Gamblers Anonymous, you said?
I did. I went to like 2 meetings.
2 meetings?
Yeah.
Okay. And then outside of that, did you have any other like tips or tactics to overcome that? Or was it just sheer willpower?
No, that was it. I had been trying to stop gambling for years, it was just really, really bad. Like, we used to I used to bet like $100 on if you saw, two roaches crawling on it. Yeah. So
like, who's gonna
get to the wall first? This roach or that roach, or crazy. I would bet on anything. And I remember one time, a friend of mine took me into, before Harlem got gentrified, they took me into a lounge, and there was a back room, and there was a dice game going on. And a friend took me there, and next thing you know, I'm rolling dice, and there's a room full of people, and next thing you know, I have a hot hand, and I'm taking this person's money, I'm taking this person's money, I'm taking this person's money, and my friend is like, "All right, come on, I'm ready to go." I'm just like, "No, I'm hot." He's like, "All right, I'll see you later." So I have about $12,000 of strangers' money in a basement in Harlem, in the late 90s.
Yeah.
And I'm just like, all right, cool. So then there comes to a point where I look around and I see that nobody's smiling anymore, and I'm just like, oh snap, what's about to happen here? And then I've basically taken everybody's money, right? So when you're rolling dice, before you put a bet, you put the money on the floor so everybody could see it. And this one guy says, "Yo, I got $1,000 on the next roll." I was like, "All right, put it down." It's like, "No, I'm good. It's in my pocket." So I roll, and I win. He's just like, "Run it back, $2,000. He doesn't put any money down. And then I look around. I was just like, "Oh snap!" So basically, I basically had to give it all back.
Oh.
And I walked out of there, and I realized, wow, I just risked my life. And that's what we started on, about how many times you risk your life. Can you imagine me dying over $12,000 in a gambling hole? So scary stuff.
Yeah, man. You got something?
Oh, I was just going to talk about just back to gambling. I watched a video the other day on what like casinos do to keep you hooked in. Yeah. Like, even they don't have sharp turns in their casino, because that like is a thought that you have to have, and they want to make sure that there's no Like you're just, they don't. So if you ever walk in a casino, it's always like a curve. Obviously like no clocks, no windows.
30 hours.
30 hours.
30 hours.
But they pump in oxygen too to like keep you. It's wild just to keep people in that.
Yeah, it's amazing.
Stage.
It's amazing, man. I'd love to get some advice from you in terms of, you teach a lot of people how to invest in real estate and how to build wealth, how to, take control of their life. So for those people listening right now who are saying, I'm brand new to real estate, what do I do? How do I get out of this crappy job that I have? I have no money. I'm broke. What do I do?
You build the relationships. Like everybody thinks that real estate is a solo sport, but it's a team sport. Like you get partners. Whether the partner is your attorney, it's not partners, team members.
Sure.
Your attorneys, a money guy, an acquisitions guy, somebody who's going to send you deals, somebody who's going to teach you. Like you can't do it by yourself. I would tell you that is the most important thing that you have to do is get yourself in a tight circle with people who are going to help propel you because and make sure that they're the right circle that's going to push you forward, because if you're surrounded by in the wrong circle, it's really a jail.
Yeah.
So just make sure that you build a team that will push you forward and never be afraid to, if it's not working, to let it go and replace that person quicker than slower.
Yeah, good stuff, man.
What does your team look like? Because obviously with the amount it took 5 minutes to go through just everything that you're doing, and so you obviously have an incredible team built around you. What does that look like?
I basically have one person that I try to speak to. I have I don't even know what to call her, but she's my co-captain or whatever, and I speak to her, and she helps me deliver all the messages and work on it, because like I'm spread way too thin.
Yeah. Sure.
Right. So having that one person this is what works for me, having one person that I could speak to, who I could speak Jude and who I could speak freely, and I don't have to edit what I say, and I could keep it 100 with her. Really, and she's very organized, which I'm not.
Yeah.
Somebody like that is very important to have.
Yeah. Awesome. How do you find somebody like that in your life?
Trial and error.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Trial and error. But if you've been doing it long enough, you kind of see the traits that complement your personality. Yeah. Right. Like if you like me, knowing that I'm not very organized, I always gravitate towards people who are very organized. Mm-hmm. Like I remember Maui Mastermind, I started using the term visionary because I'm an idea guy. So I always try to find people who are doers. I come up with the ideas. I need to find somebody who could, help me execute. Yep. So I look for people who have proven track records of doing. Mm-hmm. Whatever it may not necessarily be in my industry, but if you have a track record and an ability of getting it done, like I could teach you the basics about real estate, because you already have that foundation of going A to B to C to D and getting it done. So
that's cool, man. All right. So how are you, actually, before I ask you, I'm going to ask you finding deals, funding deals, but I do have to say this week's sponsor, we're going to talk about that first, but one thing we do on the show is that all the money that is generated from ads goes directly to a charity of the guest choosing. So I think I know what you're going to say, but let's ask anyway, where is the money from this episode going to?
Brooklyn Bank, BKBNK, my nonprofit that focuses on financial literacy and economic empowerment for impoverished people.
All right, man. I love what you do. I love the turkey drive you do every year for Thanksgiving.
Yeah. Thank you for always donating too.
Yeah, man. I'm a big supporter of you. So
I appreciate it.
Yeah, you're crushing it out there. All right, well, let's talk about this week's sponsor.
Hey, so many of you have heard me tell that story about how I bought my daughter Rosie a fourplex the week she was born, and then we put it on an 18-year mortgage payoff plan, so that it'll pay off by the time she's ready to go to college, right? So essentially my tenants are paying for Rosie's entire college. That's awesome, right? And I'm also, you might not know this, making almost $1,000 a month in cash flow on that one property every single month. Double awesome. You want to know how I got that deal? Do you want to land a deal like that? Whether it's for yourself, your retirement, your future, you're quitting your job, for your kids? Here's what I did. I simply built a high quality lead list of a lot of names of motivated sellers potentially. Then I sent out a whole bunch of direct mail, I think it was postcards. Then I talked on the phone to a ton of people, mostly tire kickers. And then I got that one interested guy and he sold me the deal at a great price. So that giant lead engine, it works, but it takes a lot of time, knowledge, and effort, and that really slows down an investor's growth. That's why I personally reached out to my friend Ryan at Ballpoint Marketing and I asked him to sponsor this show, because they are the best at doing everything I just said. I'm not kidding. I went to them and asked them, and they said, of course, they'll sponsor the show because they love the mission of what we're doing and they love all you. So Ballpoint is going to help you build your lead engine. You're going to get one-on-one call to help build your lead list for you. Their robots are going to actually handwrite letters or postcards for you, which is super cool, with a real pen. They'll even answer the phone calls. They'll screen for the best leads and they'll help you manage all of that inside your own lead tracking CRM. So they're gonna do the 80% while you can focus on the 20 and land way more deals consistently. And because you're awesome and you listen to this show, I got you a discount up to 15% off when you tell them that you heard it on this show, or just use code Brandon when checking out. I love Ballpoint Marketing and officially recommend them inside the Better Life Tribe, inside the First Deal program, and inside the 50. So check them out at ballpointmarketing.com/betterlife. Or just shoot me a DM over on Instagram, Beardy Brandon, with just the word Ballpoint, one word, Ballpoint, and I'll hook you up with them directly.
Jude, finding deals, let's start there, and then we'll talk about funding deals. How have you found deals? What's working for you now? What was working for you before?
I do 100% relationship, 100% referrals.
Really?
Yeah, I only do deals that will net me $1 million or more.
Mm-hmm.
So sometimes they come once a year, sometimes they come twice a year, sometimes they come 3 times a year, and I have to pass them along.
Yeah.
But I have a good team of realtors and people in the community. First of all the people in the community, everybody knows what I do. So whenever there's an opportunity, they always send it my way. So
what's an example of a deal that is $1 million? That doesn't sound like a single family house.
Sometimes it is.
Okay.
Really?
Yeah, sometimes it is. Because sometimes in New York City, there are certain properties that people get into, if they took a hard money loan and they can't get out of it in time, and they just want to, they purchased the property for $500,000 or $600,000, and they owe $500,000 or $600,000 on it, but they can't. They're not in a position to get out of that loan. The property's worth $3 million, $2 million, $2.5 million, or something like that. I will come in and finish that project.
Mm-hmm.
Every once in a while that there are these deals. One of the first deals that kind of got me back on the map was I purchased a property that was going under foreclosure, that was going to the courthouse steps in a few days. I found out that the owner was in Jamaica. So I actually flew to Jamaica. Had to go to the embassy there to get all the documents notarized, because that's the only place that I was able to do it. Fly out there, picked up the property for $400,000, put $500,000 into it, and I ended up selling it for $2.4 million.
Wow!
Right, and it's so funny because everybody knew about this property, and everybody just couldn't get in touch with the owner, and everybody was trying to call her, but I actually flew to Jamaica with no promises.
Had you gotten a hold of her on the phone, or did you go just knock on her door in Jamaica?
I found out where she was. I got on the phone with her, and she was just blowing me off. I was like, well, I'll come over there and I'll come talk to you. She's like, you going to come talk to me in Jamaica? I was like, yes, I will. And I flew out there the very next day. And that's kind of how that $1 million plus is kind of how I started. I got back on my feet.
Good. Yeah. I think finding deals is just being willing to do what other people won't do. I have a buddy who he bought a house and he made, we're in St. Louis, so the numbers are very different, but he still made 6 figures, which in St. Louis is incredible. And the way that he got this was it was a lady who actually lived in Brooklyn that owned a property in St. Louis. And he sent her a contract every week in the mail for a year and a half. She never once responded to him. She wouldn't pick up his phone. And then one day he got a signed contract back and ended up buying the house and flipping it. And it's just, nobody else is doing that. Nobody else is sending a contract every single week for 100 weeks.
Like the only way to make real money is to do the things that other people aren't willing to do and to see the things that people are not capable of seeing. Like you have to change your vision, because if you're looking the same exact way that everybody else is looking at something, you'll miss it.
Yeah.
You know, like you'll miss the opportunity. You'll miss the like if everybody's looking at the deal just trying to do it as a buy and flip, buy and sell, and you're looking at it, well, what if I converted it to a commercial property and then brought in this tenant and did, just got to be out the box.
Yeah.
You know, like there's these things in New York City called SROs, right? That are impossible to finance because they're single room occupancies.
Yeah.
Like they're formerly boarding houses, and nobody wants to nobody wants to lend on a boarding house. But what I found out was, although New York City has banned short-term rentals, right? There are certain properties which are considered Class B properties, which are considered transient properties, like hotels, dormitories, hospitals, and boarding houses. So I started buying these boarding houses, and I've been able to do Airbnb and short-term rentals. And my first year in, I'm doing $1 million plus on these things, right? And these are properties that people are selling below market, whereas some properties are selling for in the same neighborhood are selling for $1,000 a square foot. I'm buying these things at $300 or $400 a square foot because people are looking at them and like, I can't do anything with them. So that's the thing. Change your vision.
Yeah. That's awesome.
That's very cool, man. All right, what about funding? How are you financing deals these days?
A lot of the things that I've been pulling equity out of. I've been pulling equity out of other properties, pulling equity out of other properties, and I've been partnering with friends and family. And I do some hard money borrowing. I try to stay away from it because it's so painful sometimes. You really shouldn't count other people's money if you're making money. But sometimes you look at a deal and you're just like, wow, this is my partner. Because what I'm between what I'm giving the government in taxes and the private money, the private money guys, just like, wow, I might be the minority partner in this deal.
There's been many times where the lenders made more money than me on a flip. Like it's been very common, which is why I'm getting into lending. Because I'm like, I like making money without having to work. It's way better.
Yeah. So that's my key thing. So I've been taking the equity out of one property to buy another. And that's a little tidbit I want to share with people. Like the worst thing that you could ever do is to take equity out of your house or out of a property and spend it. Spend it on a business or paying bills or this, that, the other. The only time for me, this is my personal rule, the only time that I take equity out of a property is to purchase another property. Whereas, so it's not really spending the property, it's just transferring it. And now you have two properties that are growing at, exponentially. So if you had one property that was growing at 10% a year or 5% a year, so now you have two properties that are growing at 10%. So you get, you make the money quicker that way.
That's smart. Love it, man. Hey, what are the biggest mistakes you see new real estate investors make?
Trying to get rich overnight.
It's great.
Like trying to get
so true.
Yeah, like cutting corners.
Yeah.
Not learning the procedures, not being honest, thinking that one deal is going to make them rich. So going all in on one deal, So those are mistakes, and it all boils to trying to get rich overnight, as opposed to understanding that this is a long game.
Mhm.
You know, like take your time. You know, 1 + 1 makes 2, 2 + 2 makes 4, 4 + 4 makes 8. And I tell people all the time that I've made mistakes on doing a $10,000 deals. That I learned a lesson that I didn't have to do on a $20,000 deal.
Yeah.
And the mistakes I made on the $20,000 deal, I didn't have to make those on a $100,000 deal. So respect the process. So
Love it, man. All right, dude, we got to start moving toward the later half of the show here.
Okay.
So before we do though, I'm curious, like, where do you see your real estate investing headed in the future? Like, what's the future Jude Bernard portfolio look like in business?
Right now, what I'm going to be doing in the next year, well, I've already started to do, I'm going to be selling maybe a third of my portfolio. Selling a third of my portfolio and covering the debt on the rest of it. That way, you know, as I said, I recently had a daughter. I have a
congrats, man.
Thank you. So that's my new priority. So I'll have a significant amount of cash flow without the debt. And I'm just going to enjoy spending time with her. That's right. And go back to the basics of maybe picking up 1 or 2 properties every now and then if it makes sense. You know, it's not aggressive. I'm 50. I'm 51. Going to be 52 this year. So it's time to just start enjoying it.
So let me ask an off the wall question that I've never asked anybody. As a 50-plus-year-old new father, what have you learned? Like what can people learn from having a kid later in life?
You know, one, it's super important that you stay in shape. You know, because
you are ridiculously in shape.
Thank you. Trying to keep up with a toddler is no joke.
Yeah.
And 2, like, you have to decide what is important, because as I said before, you know, there is an unlimited amount of money, but there's a limited amount of time. And the fact that I'm a new father so late in the game, I'm going to miss out on a lot on the back end.
Yeah.
So I have to make the front end as special as you know as possible. You know, I may never see my grandkids. That's a possibility. You know, so I personally am happy that I built everything that I've built thus far, but she's more important right now.
Yeah.
You know, her name's Brooklyn, by the way.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh, that's amazing. Love it, man. All right, let's shift over to the next segment of the show, which we lovingly call our 3-2-1 pivot.
Okay.
This word pivot means your life's going in one direction and then something happens and it changes the direction of your life for the better. So I'd love to know 3 books. We'll start with books. 3 books that changed the direction of your life.
Oh. Total Recall by Arnold Schwarzenegger.
Oh,
Really?
I haven't read that.
Yeah, that is, you know, a wild story. Arnold Schwarzenegger came here, bodybuilder, and became movie star, married into one of the most, what do you call it? Special families in country.
Almost royalty.
Almost royalty. Made tons of money. And one of the things that nobody knows, if you notice that there are no commercials or supporting roles of Arnold Schwarzenegger, he just came out as Conan.
Yeah.
Right. And the way he was able to do that is when he came to this country, what he started doing is he became a contractor and he started buying real estate.
Yeah, I heard that.
He started buying real estate. So he was able to wait for the right role instead of doing all these, you know, to do what other actors do.
Yeah.
It's just like, I'll just take anything. It's just like, no, I want to be a lead guy.
I heard him say that he was a multimillionaire before he ever got his first movie role.
Yeah. He made his money in real estate.
Yeah.
So that's
why he's my actual number one. I mean, you were number 2, clearly, but number 1 podcast guest I could have on the show. It's like Arnold's my number 1. So if anybody out there knows Arnold or can get me an introduction, I would love to have him on the show.
Yeah. So
make a call, Jude. Come on,
Make the
give me
call.
Arnold. Okay, Total Recall, number 1. What other books?
Undisputed by Mike Tyson.
Okay. I love new book
Is Mike
recommendations.
Tyson from Brooklyn?
Yeah, he is.
He's about to fight Jake Paul.
I know. That's
I
wild.
hope he knocks him out.
You know, we are working on getting Mike Tyson on the
Are we?
podcast. Yeah, I don't know if it'll happen, but we have
Do you
an
know
in.
him?
I do, actually.
You really do?
I do.
I have another in, apparently.
I haven't spoken to him in a couple of years, but I have a couple of good Mike Tyson stories. But the reason why I chose Mike Tyson's book is because he's made every mistake in the book, right? Where everything from drugs to alcohol to women to being bad with money. And I believe that like a stupid person never learns from his mistakes. The average person learns from his mistakes, and the wise person learns from other people's mistakes. Yeah. And reading that book, I remember saying, "Oh wow, I'll never do that. Yeah. Oh, this is how he ended up here. I won't do that. Yeah. Oh, he just trusted somebody with all his money. I'll never do that. He got in trouble chasing women. Oh, I'll never do that." So I was able to learn a lot from that. So I chose that as one of, like I read that book every once in a while because, learning by somebody else's mistakes is mistakes that you don't have to make.
Dude, do you have one good Mike Tyson? Mike Tyson is I love the way that he's changed his life in the last 5-7 years, where I follow him on Instagram and he seems like the happiest, like completely different person from who he was 10 years ago. Because he's best boxer in the world, goes to jail, loses it all on drugs, chasing women. And now he's like such a great human. So give me a Mike Tyson story. I need a Mike Tyson story.
So I said something off color to him.
Oh,
and
that's a terrible idea.
No, but
why would you do that?
It was a joke. It was a joke, and he kind of gave me like a love tap, but it's a love tap from him.
The hardest puncher in the world.
And I'm like I'm like on the floor trying, like people don't know if they should be laughing or this, that,
or call it an ambulance,
right? And so he's like, "So you gonna sue me, Jude? You gonna sue me?" So that's the funniest Mike Tyson story.
I love that. So we're gonna have to powwow later about how to get Mike Tyson on this podcast.
Yeah, no, you know what? He's accessible. He's a nice guy, and he'll definitely
promo the fight.
Yeah.
He needs us to promote.
Exactly. We can do so much.
Yeah, no one's gonna watch that thing, so we're gonna have
Netflix for free too.
Mm-hmm. Oh wow! All right.
Yeah. And the last book, is The Alchemist.
I'm reading it right now again.
Yeah, like those are my three. The Alchemist, because it's so many lessons to that. And it's just like everything that happens for a reason. Everyone is significant, and just trust the process. A lot of times we start something and we want to turn back, but you got to see it all the way through because the reward is right there at the end of it. And it's, as cliche as it may sound, it's like, it's not the destination, but it's the journey. That's all. That's what it's all about. So those are my three books.
Dude, I love those book recommendations. Those are like, at least two of the three are ones that I've never heard before. So I'm excited to look at those.
Yeah, I'm listening to The Alchemist every night when I go to sleep, and I'll put it on like a 15-minute sleep timer, and because it's like Jeremy Irons, like the actor who's got that perfect like British accent, reading it. It just puts me to sleep every night. But I get to like listen to a good story while falling asleep. I do it every night now. It's great.
And then you always got to pull it back because
I fall asleep somewhere in the middle of it. I'm like, let's just go back a few minutes. I'm like, oh, I lasted a minute last night. Wow, I got to go back further. It happens. All right, man. Next.
All right, two people that you've met that have changed your life.
That I've met.
That have impacted your life. Yeah.
All right, my dad.
I love that.
My dad has impacted me a lot, in the sense that my dad came here with nothing. Educated man, but came from Haiti. So had to drive a cab because although he had his degrees in Haiti, it meant nothing here in the U.S. So he drove a cab. Like things didn't work out with my mom, but he still remained in my life. And over time, him and my mom have become great friends.
That's cool.
Like they're still great friends to this day. So that kind of showed me that things change. Doesn't necessarily have to end. So watching that, I watched my dad put myself and my two sisters through school. While driving a cab. So that's one of my heroes right there.
That's cool.
That's awesome.
And somebody that I don't actually know that that's kind of like my mentor in my head is Jay-Z.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Guy's a smart businessman.
Smart businessman, from Brooklyn like me. Couldn't get a record deal, so he started his own label. Like stood for everything, like didn't compromise. Like basically changed the way he had to get out the street mentality so he could grow. Had to sever a lot of ties so he can grow, but still remain the person that he is. So and he's able to walk in on any corner or the White House.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So like being that flexible and dynamic is important. So he's my other pick of someone that I would say I try to model after.
But you haven't met him yet?
No, I've met him, but
yeah.
but I don't know him.
You met him,
I
cool.
can't text him.
Yeah.
Okay. I'll text him for you. Just kidding. All right, man. One pivot quote. So a quote that has changed the direction of your life.
It's a Jay-Z quote.
Okay.
I will not lose. And when I say, most of the time when you think I will not lose, it sounds like very braggadocio and ego, but it's really about learning, and I kind of take that back to even when I used to gamble, right? I will not lose. Imagine if you were at a blackjack table and you could just keep doubling down until you win. Right? That's how life is.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? You could just keep doubling down until you win. Every day's a new day, every day's a new opportunity, every day's a new beginning. So, and the game's not over until you don't open your eyes anymore. The game's not over until you quit. So, technically I will not lose, because in every loss, there's a lesson. So that is kind of the quote that I live by. I will not lose. You know what I'm saying? Like you may win a battle, but you know what I'm saying? The war is mine, if I just stay persistent and consistent.
Yeah.
So
good stuff, man.
It's a great quote.
One of my favorite quotes is actually Jay-Z as well. And it's the only Jay-Z quote I know. But he once said
99 problems.
No. I don't even know if it's a song lyric, but I see it written in books sometimes. It says, I'm not a businessman.
I'm a business
man. Yeah. I love that idea. Because like I am a business, like I'm a personal brand, whatever. I always like that quote.
Yeah, no. That's one of my favorite quotes as well. Is
it from a song?
Yeah, it's from Kanye West. Diamonds Are Forever, the remix. You should really listen to the whole verse. As a matter of fact, when we get out here, I'm going to play it for you because there's like a million quotes in that one verse.
Yeah, okay.
So
we're going to Mama's tonight. We can also listen to it in the car on the way to Mama's.
We'll just jam to Jay-Z the entire way there.
Yeah. For those who haven't been to Mama's, this show is sponsored not by Mama's, but I wish it was. We get free Mama's is the most ridiculously good restaurant in Maui. So
I'm looking forward to it.
It's going to be a good time tonight. All right, man. Moving on to past, present, future. What is actually? You take that one. I don't want to steal your question.
No,
it's yours. Past, present, future.
What is the advice that you would give to your younger self?
The advice: stay consistent.
Ooh, I love that.
Stay consistent. There are a lot of things that I walked away from. In hindsight, had I stayed consistent, I'd be a lot further along.
Yeah.
Try not to deviate from the plan. When things get, it's so funny. Crypto.
Yeah.
Crypto's rocking and rolling right now. I started, when the plan was, while crypto was down, to keep buying month after month after month. And I did it for 1 month, and then it started to run up again. And then I try to catch up. But had I stayed consistent, my profits would have been ridiculous right now. So it's just like we all know that. We all know what to do to get 6-pack abs. Lower your caloric intake. do cardio.
Don't go to mama's.
Exactly. And do and do crunches. We all know what to do. All right. But how many people do it consistently?
Not Cam.
We did work out today.
We did work out today.
You know, because everybody wants a 6-pack, you know, but a 6-pack takes 6 months to get, 5 months to get when you could have French fries tonight.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? It's just like being consistent means, you know, giving up the satisfaction of the French fries that you could have today. And because, you know, by being consistent and moving with faith will get you what you really want.
That's good. Well, and you said you're 51. Is that what you said?
51.
Yeah, 51. And I think that's like so many people look at a guy like you and are like, he just got so lucky that he lived in Brooklyn, or he just, you know, and the fact is you've been doing this since you were 20, in early 20s. So you've been doing this for almost 30 years. You're not an overnight success. And so many people see that and like, oh, they got lucky, or they did this, or they did that. And it's like, you've been at it for 30 years, consistently doing the right things every single day.
You know, I recently did a deal where I made like $1.7 million in a matter of 2 days, right? But it took me 25 years of mistakes, lessons, relationships, and setting up for that. You know, so it's just like, you know, it's kind of like when you watch that 15-second reel of somebody and say, "Oh, I want to do it. Look at that. Look at that. That looks so cool." But they don't know, you know, the backstory and the years and the failures and the sacrifices and the tears and everything that came with that. So,
I saw there was a Henry, I don't know, I think there was not Henry Ford, potentially him. Somebody rich and famous. He sent a bill once when he was younger to a friend for something, and it was like $15,000, and the friend responded back, that's too much. Can you lower the price? And so he sent him back a broken down bill for $2,000 for the product, but $13,000 for the 30 years of experience that he had. Exactly. So I'm butchering that quote, but
it's a good story.
What is the story? Can you say it better than me?
That's what you get paid for. I just read this the other day. I'm going to butcher it too, but there is I heard just a man went into a factory. Like there's a factory that had the machine broke down. They couldn't fix it. And so they hired a consultant to come in. He walks over, he puts an X on the machine, and he says, just replace that part right there and you're good. And they're like, thanks. So then he sends them a bill for $150,000. And the company complains, they're like, this is ridiculous. You can't pay, it's not $150,000. You were there for 5 minutes. He goes, well, I didn't bill you for the 5 minutes. I billed you for the 30 years of knowing where to draw the X.
There we go. See, that's so much better. That's why you're good at this. That's why you get.
Well, whatever. All right, man. That was the past. Advice to your younger self. What about present? What is currently your number one rule for living a better life?
Make life better for the people around you, and if you make things better for the people around you, you get to reap that rewards. It's kind of like better life, happy wife, happy life. That kind of thing. It's just like if you can consistently improve the lives of the people around you, it in turn makes your life better. And the selfish man looks to make his life better. The average man looks to make the life of his family better, and the great man looks to make the world better. All right. So if you kind of want to decide where you want to fall on it, like how many people's lives do you want to affect? How many people's lives you want to make better? Because the more people's lives you make better, in turn, it makes your life better. So
it's great, man.
All right. So how do you want to be remembered when you die?
Jude was a cool
No, almost got beat up by Mike Tyson.
No. That I made a difference. That the world's a better place because of me. Which is kind of cool of me having a daughter now, because if she goes out and does great things in the world, I did my job. Like knock on wood, she doesn't turn out to be a serial killer or anything like that. But I want to change the world for the better. Like what whether it's one small thing or accidentally stumbling on the cure for cancer, whatever it may be, like I want to make things better than the way I found it. I used to have this saying that any girl I'm with, I'm going to make her better before we walk away. Whether I'm going to help her get into a program, whether I'm going to help her buy her first house, whether I'm going to teach her how to drive. You know what I'm saying? Like you're going to leave this relationship knowing that you were better than you came.
That's cool.
So that's always been a like a mantra for me. It's just like kind of like a braggadocio. It's like you're better than when I found you.
No, but I think that's a cool thought. Is like, yeah, everybody I'm around is better because of me. And I don't mean like that's a good thing to strive for. I'm not saying that's always true for me, but yeah, it's like people around me, their life improves because of me. If I can give them advice or if I could just listen to them or whatever, I think that's something cool to shoot for. So I love that for kind of a legacy.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Cool,
man.
That's awesome.
All right, let's wrap things up. What are you excited for? What's coming up in your life?
What am I excited for? Brooklyn Buyers Club.
What's that?
That is a community that I'm building where we are going to focus on community acquisitions, whether it's real estate, businesses, art, having like-minded people to to converse with, share. Like I know it can be very lonely trying to find people who are of the same mindset.
Yeah.
And we all live on these islands. So I basically want to put this island together where we can be a community of not just buying things together, but having that social interaction that you just might not be able to get from your high school buddy or the guys that you drink a beer with because, they're not on the same wavelength, but you still hold on to that. You still hold on to that relationship, but there's a void. So I know that there's always been that void for me. So I'm going to try to find the rest of us and put us together.
Amazing.
It's got a
Do
great
you have a
ring.
place people can go to learn more about that yet?
Or
will you have a website by the time this episode airs?
Yes, it will be brooklynbuyingclub.com.
Brooklyn Buying?
Yes.
brooklynbuyingclub.com.
Yes.
Love it, man. All right. And where else can people go to find things about you or follow you and all that?
JudeBernard.com and Instagram, Mr. Jude Bernard.
Perfect. I've been following you forever. I love your account, man.
Thank you, brother.
All right.
Perfect.
Well, this has been awesome, man.
Dude,
Thanks for
it's been a
sharing your
blast.
wisdom.
Thank
Appreciate
you.
Let's go get some mamas.
All
Let's
right.
do it.
Look at this.
Boom.
All right, three-way. Ready?
Three-way. Boom.